Thanks for checking out my video. Today we're reviewing the Yeti 45 hard cooler versus the M30 soft cooler. Just get this out of the way. I like the 45 better. I mean, it's just more, I wouldn't say versatile, it's just a better cooler. It's just a better cooler. But let's jump into it. I think both have their use cases. There's so many things I like about both. There's nothing I don't like about this cooler. There's a lot of things I don't like about this cooler. Let's jump into this. The best thing about this cooler is the magnet. The ability just to pop it open, stick your hand in, grab a beer, and close it is phenomenal. It's the one thing I wanted. The reason I got this cooler was because for some reason before I bought this cooler, I thought that was such a pain in the ass. But yeah, and the magnets, it's well made. It's Yeti. I mean, it's the real deal. It's not flimsy. You can literally pour it. You can flip it upside down. Water doesn't fall out. I've thrown this in a lake, and it didn't. I mean, it floats, number one, but number two, like water doesn't seep in. So they did a great job with the magnet. The other thing I like about this bag is you can put it anywhere and everywhere. I mean, literally, it can fit in a Honda Accord front seat, like in between the seat and the dash. I mean, it can fit in the back of a boat easy, under a table. I mean, it's just so easy to put this essentially anywhere. This strap, they did a great job with the strap. When you have this thing fully loaded and you're carrying it like this, the strap is so well done. You don't feel necessarily the full weight versus if you're carrying it like this, you know, you would be like, oh geez, that's a heavy ass cooler. But they just did a really good job with the strap. Let's talk about things I don't like. This is funny, but I don't know why they didn't make one of these a beer opener. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and I'm sure there's people out there that have figured out the ability to pop a bottle open with these, but it just doesn't make any sense that there's not a beer opener on it when you have all this stuff that in a way is nonsense, like unless you have the accessories, but you know, unless you're a fly fisherman, you probably don't. So it's just like, why wouldn't you make the tie downs beer openers automatically? My least favorite thing about this is there's no drainage hole. So like, this cooler is a maintenance nightmare. Like, you know, let's say you go out with some buddies, you're fishing or you're camping, and you clean up, you drive all the way home, you're exhausted. Now you got this cooler that you know you're gonna have to clean, because if you leave it closed for too long, it just gets all moldy and disgusting, and the lining is lining, so it's not that easy to clean, number one. Number two is you can't just drain it, so it just becomes this nightmare of like, you know, getting home, having to put like soap or whatever in it and like, you know, move it around, get it in there clean, put your hand in here, clean it up. It's just one thing that's just a pain in the ass. And further on that point is it doesn't have a drain spout, which makes sense, right? I mean, I'd love if they could figure it out, but you can never drain water that easily. You either have to lay it down or lay it, flip it over. But when you have a bunch of beer in there, it's just not a super easy thing to do. Versus this cooler has the drainage system, so if I'm at the lake and I don't want to carry it up to the house or wherever I'm at full weight, I'll just let some water out to reduce the weight that I have to carry. But all in all, I mean, I understand why I got it. I understand why it's invented. It's a good cooler, but I just think the 45 is definitely better. And one thing too is that I also don't like is, yeah, it's a smaller cooler than the 45, like 30, 45, right? Makes sense. But it's a pain in the ass to find beer in this thing too. Like, if you have a beer that's like all the way in the bottom, it's fully loaded. I mean, one, the cooler's probably not going to shut as well, and you're going to have to dig in there and find. It's just not as good as a cooler as this thing. And let's get into this thing. This, I think, is the perfect Yeti size. It's big. It's not too big. It's heavy. It's not too heavy. The straps right here are incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. I've had this cooler since 2012. I mean, I've had it so long that my friends made fun of me for spending $350 on a cooler. Like, I remember bringing it to a party and people were like literally joking around with me, and then everyone has them now. But this is like the OG color, other than white, of course. Like, I was either going to spend $150 on a mini fridge in college, but my fraternity had ice. So I was like, well, why don't I just spend $350 and then I'll only have to get ice like every week and I'll just have a cooler rest of my life. So that's what I did. Ice holds in this thing better than this thing. I would say the M30 ice holds for about 24 to 36 hours. In the Yeti 45, ice holds 4 days in the pure sun. No sun up to 8 days. I mean, I've lived it, so I would say up to 8 days if you're just in air conditioning. But yeah, I mean, this holds, I would say, a case of beer and a few more. This holds, if you're lucky, a case of beer. But this one definitely holds a case of beer and some extras. But there's nothing to not like about the 45 cooler. It's the perfect size, it's the perfect feel, the handles are great, the spout's amazing. Everything I don't like about this cooler doesn't exist in this cooler. This tray is the most underrated Yeti product on the planet. Imagine you're going out on a boat and you got sandwiches or whatever. You just put all that meat in here, you put the bread in here, right there. And then you fill the beer underneath, and it's just amazing. This cooler, it would be like you just put everything in there, it'd be mosh pit and wet, and the meat and the cheese would get all wet. This is just the dream scenario, the dream cooler, and it's my baby. I mean, I really got nothing bad to say about it. It's easy to clean, it's durable, it looks good. I mean, it's big. You either gotta, give a seat in your car for it or put it in the trunk somehow. So, obviously that one's better for that scenario. But there's nothing even me to talk about. I mean, it's just such a badass, awesome cooler. And it's incredible. I mean, they got the new Rody 15. If you want a hard cooler that's small, I would get that. I would not get the Rody. I would not get the Rody 24 or whatever that is. I would either get the Rody 15, 45. Don't get the 35. Get the 45. It's more square. The 35 has this angle. It just looks weird. It's just not perfect. Get the 15. Get the 45. Get the 65. And then the hopper wise, I mean, I wish they had a smaller one, because I would say get the smaller one, because I just don't. The use case of this size just doesn't make sense to me, because when you're comparing these two, it's just like, why wouldn't you take this one? If you're going to buy a soft cooler, then it's just a no-brainer to either get the smaller soft cooler or just say screw it and get the hard cooler. Alright, I know I rambled, but thanks for checking out my video. Please like and subscribe. We do some reviews, but it's mainly about life content, motivational speaking at Joey Scott Media. But appreciate the content. Hopefully it helped you out. But it's just my take. Cool, thanks.